Hello and welcome back to Horror Boys, the number one horror movie podcast on all of downtown Kentucky's channel. I'm Austin, joined as always by...
Chris?
Isaiah?
That's right. We are the Horror Boys. From the title, I know, crazy. Who would have thought
Right.
that a podcast called Horror Boys would have three boys talking about horror movies? I know it's revolutionary, but here we are, back at it again with our actual 8th week of the podcast. Unlike last week when I said it was.
That's right.
This is the actual 8th week.
Oh, yeah.
This week it is Friday the 13th, Part 8.
That's right.
Jason Takes Manhattan.
Kind of.
We are reviewing. Yeah.
Yeah.
As you'll find out later in the review, he kind of takes Manhattan.
Yeah, we'll get
Sort
to
of.
that when we get to that. So let's start right at the beginning. It's a little bit different of a beginning. We kind of open with the credits this time, and we open with some just shots of New York with this like narrator going over it. The shots are really well done. It feels like this movie's going to be really different. It's not,
Yeah.
but it feels like it at this point. At this point, you're like, we're going something different here. All right, I'm intrigued. Something different. Which, when I get to my part at the end where I tell you how I felt about it overall, I'll also explain how, once again, like the last movie, this movie could have been better, but it's not.
Eh.
Different reasons this time, but once again, could have been a better movie, but wasn't. So, after we get through the credits and we have a bunch of shots, I wrote down what they were. We have, a random mugging. We have a trash rat.
Like a lot of urban blight.
Yeah, a lot of urban.
Very
underbelly of
wet
New York.
rat, I might add.
Yeah.
Yeah. We have a random diner followed by a subway. Then we got some druggies. And then we're back to Crystal Lake, baby. When in doubt, we gotta go back to Crystal Lake. But this time, we're on a boat. Because, get used to that, because it's not
The
this
theme
boat.
of this movie is boat.
Yeah, this is What If Jason Was on a Boat.
What if
And by
people died on a boat?
And by what if Jason was on a boat, I actually mean two boats, because this is the first boat Jason's on, which is this nice little houseboat where we have, where's the name of their characters?
Jim and
Susie.
Susie
Yes.
with a Z and an
Yes.
I.
Yes.
No E.
You're right, I believe that is right.
Yeah.
They're hanging out, and they're making out. They're getting
Yeah,
naked.
they are.
They might be about to play some harmonica. We don't know yet, though, because we do cut away from that. And we have Jimmy just kind of telling Susie
goes to
about...
Drop the anchor first, doesn't he?
Yes.
No.
That's a little bit later.
Yes.
First, Jimmy
Something.
tells Susie the stories
Jason.
about Jason and
Yeah.
how they say he was here and his dead body might still be under us right now in this lake, because that's real arousing discussion. There might be a murderer under us. Isn't that kind of hot? But
Aren't
she
you
tells him...
titillated?
Yeah. And she tells him to go drop the anchor, so he does. He goes, leaves her, and their anchor, while it's underwater, though, it actually hits this random power line that is underwater, where power lines are. Oh wait, no,
Yeah.
I got word.
Submerged underneath the ground at all.
Yeah,
just
no.
floating kind of on the bottom of the lake.
Yeah, that's actually not how
Pretty
it
cool.
works, like ever. But this movie needed it to be, so we just have this giant random wire. It's underground, under the water, but above ground, that gets hit by
Yeah,
the anchor.
Not under the ground. Very
Yeah.
important that it isn't under the ground, actually.
Yeah, it's not under the ground. The anchor hits it, causes it to, get all, breaks it. It electrocutes Jason, who is still under the water, under the
Doc.
dock he was, dragged onto.
Zombie dad.
Yeah,
was
zombie dad.
trapped.
It's not Zombie Dad, not to be confused with Ghost Dad, starring now canceled comedian Bill Cosby. Not to be confused with Ghost Dad. Different. This is Zombie
Oh.
Dad from the last movie. I know it's very confusing because this franchise that was already weird has gotten weirder and weirder as it goes.
This was a really interesting scene. I mean, especially the flashback, because in the flashback we see a kid drowning, and it's not
And
until
his
later.
completely like unmarred face.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, and then we keep seeing more and more images of kid Jason throughout the movie,
Yeah.
and they're
They're
progressively
all
more.
different.
Yeah, they're progressively uglier.
They
They're
really
like
are
more and more
all
horrifying.
different. I guess maybe
So I guess this one is just like
yeah.
the Jason. That's the word picture he's painting for what's her name? I don't know. He doesn't know that
Sure. I
Jason
think
was
you're
deformed or
thinking too
whatever.
far into it. I think they just probably got different kids each time. We're like, oh crap, what did we put on the last time? I don't know, because this movie is
Couldn't
it's
figure
out
out the
there.
prosthetics. Couldn't
Yeah.
just do all the like
Kid Jason
the
season
scenes filmed in one go.
one. No, couldn't do that.
Like, oh
Um,
crap! We should throw another flashback of Jason being a kid somewhere.
Being a kid.
Get another kid, quick! Grab him off the streets. Put on some prosthetics. Or don't. I don't know.
but yeah, then
He's alive now.
yeah. So while that's happening, though, they are starting to play some harmonica, but this big loud explosion sound from underwater from the electricity, causes them to stop playing harmonica, and she tells him to, hey Jim, go look to see what happened. He goes off to look, and he comes back. Oh, actually, sorry. He goes off. We don't know where he's at. Then, oh my God, Jason comes into the room. She's not that freaked out because she's a terrible actress, and
Yes.
she is one of the worst actresses in the franchise, which is saying a lot.
It is
Not
kinda saying a lot.
It was a very low bar, and she dug the ground out from under it so she could get even lower. Yeah,
Dug the ground up.
she does not seem to care that Jason is in her room, and but it isn't Jason. It's not. It's actually, it's actually Jim pretending to be Jason, which is somehow arousing to her, and they go to start playing harmonica again. Him tricking her into thinking he was going to murder her really gets her in the mood to play some music.
Really gets that adrenaline
To the mask.
flowing.
Do you remember what happened to the mask in the end of the last movie?
Yes, it gets broken by Carrie. Not
Yeah, by Carrie's
Tina.
powers.
Yeah, Tina breaks it, and it shatters. So that's why he needs this new
When
mask.
he
'Cause
squeezes his, or
Yeah.
when she squeezes his head
She
with
squeezes
her
his head,
telekinesis powers.
it busts his mask off of him. So yes, now a maskless Jason kind of walks into the room. We don't actually see his face yet. And
Naturally.
he picks up this fake, the Jason mask Jim was using, the hockey mask to scare her, and he puts it on. And he goes. He also picks up a harpoon gun, and he shoots.
They're on a boat.
The
He does
wall.
love harpoon
The
gun.
wall. He actually misses. He's lost his ability to shoot a harpoon gun from the third movie,
When he was like Chris Kyle with a harpoon gun.
perfect
Yeah.
shot,
Yeah.
so good, through an
From
eyeball,
much farther away.
not just into a head, into an eyeball. That's how much accuracy he used to have. Now, hits the wall next to her.
Well, it's like his third time that he's died.
That's true.
Yeah.
This
He's
is,
under the water
that's
for a
true.
while.
This is reanimated Jason. So I guess it's fair. Because for some reason, which actually I didn't even think about till right now, he needed reanimated again. Even though in the last movie he didn't really die, he just got pulled under by Ghost Dad.
Yeah. He was just kind of neutralized and then the movie ended.
Yeah. So, but I guess he got killed by Zombie Dad. Zombie Dad killed him.
A really strong zombie did.
Yeah. Off
So
screen.
he was never beaten.
I mean,
even
you
in
could
life.
see he was in perfect shape
Yeah, that's
when he
true.
emerged from that water.
Yeah.
So
Well, that's what.
still had all of his muscles intact.
Well,
Yeah.
that's the beauty of alcoholism and spousal abuse. It makes you stronger.
Yeah.
Yikes!
But let's stop talking about that crappy movie. Let's talk about this crappy movie. Because
Okay.
Jason, he's down there. He shoots, misses. Then around this point, Susie freaks out and kind of runs away. Or she runs away
window.
after. I don't know exactly where she ran away, but she does eventually escape after he kills Jimmy with, I think, the harpoon gun itself. He
Yeah, just
stabs
sort
it
of
into
stabs him
the
with it.
stomach.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Susie runs through the window after Jason
There.
misses the harpoon,
Okay.
and then goes to hide.
Yeah, she goes and
Jim
hides.
gets stabbed by the gun,
Um,
and then Jason literally uses his killer sense
Yeah.
to go hunt her down inside of the fish trap in the boat.
He knew exactly where
pretty
she
cool.
was somehow. I guess maybe she was making noise. I don't know.
She-
this is
she
that
wasn't.
Point, this is the point where we realize how she is the worst actress in the whole series. Because she does not seem terrified for her life, even though she just saw her boyfriend die, and she knows this killer is probably coming for her. But no, she just sits there awkwardly for such a long scene. This scene is so prolonged before Jason eventually stabs her with the harpoon from the wall.
Yeah.
Very
Kind
gradual.
of just
Yeah,
stares at her for a while.
Yeah, just kind of stares at her,
it's
and then
just like,
slowly puts it in. And she continues to get even more screen time, reacting to her death about to happen. No! No!
It's pretty awful.
It's pretty great. Yes. Then we meet our soon-to-be final girl, Rennie, which is a weird name, but just that's her name.
I agree.
We never get like a full name. It's like because Rennie definitely feels short for something. Don't know
Rennington.
what. Yes.
Reynolds rap.
Rennington is her name. Good old Rennington. Her teacher, I believe her name is Connie. I don't remember that in the movie, but I watched like a video about it after you left to just kind of get some takes on the movie. And apparently her name is Connie. The teacher's name is Connie, I believe. I don't think it was mentioned once in the movie. We do get her last name like right before she dies.
Yeah, they say Miss something.
Miss
she blew
Van
up.
Dusen.
Yeah, that's right, Miss Van Dusen.
But yeah,
Miss Van Pooping.
For most of my notes, her name is just teacher because they don't tell you her name.
Whoa, female teacher.
I'd call her teacher because we get his name pretty quickly.
Oh, that's true.
But yeah, this Connie, Miss Van Dusen, the teacher, who is a very maternal figure to Rennie. She's talking to her in a car, and she gives her Stephen King's pen. Hey, that's cool. We're just gonna name drop Stephen King randomly for this random pen we're giving this girl. That kind of matters later. I mean, it saves her, spoiler, but also doesn't matter. But yeah, we're just gonna name drop and make this pen really important, even though it just kind of helps her out of one situation for a little while. Whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then we also find out that then we see the houseboat, randomly kind of show up to the dock. I guess Jason drove it?
Yeah.
Just kind of drifted over there.
7-year-old Jason learned how to drive boats before
we keep talking about how 7-year-old Jason did things. To be fair, ever so slightly possibly, to this franchise, the only time we ever see Jason as a child was... Like, he could have taught himself this after he was a child, because the only time we ever see him as a child was in that scene that was maybe a nightmare from the end of 1, and then after that we see him as a full-grown adult, living in the woods. So maybe he taught himself how to drive a boat while living alone in the woods from the age of 7 on. So they could have been during that period of time where he maybe was living in the woods the whole time alone, or was dead and brought back. Who knows? This franchise never explains things, and we're just kind of. But we decided to take an analytical look at this franchise for reasons.
Yes. It's very important that somebody did it.
Yeah.
And who better than 3 young adult males?
Yeah. One of which had seen like 7 horror movies in his life before this. That's me. But none of us had seen this franchise at all.
That'd be awesome. Yeah. Yeah. None of us could have seen this franchise prior.
But yeah.
I was sure I was going to be behind. I bet they're already huge Jason fans. They've seen all of them.
Yeah. I didn't like
horror.
I didn't like horror.
I mean, I'm a huge horror fan, but I had never seen any of the classic horror ones.
I always hated horror movies as a child and a young
Except
adult.
for the first Nightmare on Elm Street. I have seen that.
I've seen that one. That's one of the few ones I liked. And I've seen it and I liked it. But I had not seen a lot of horror movies. We discussed about this on the first episode, though. So let's back to this movie. We're getting really off topic today, which is not good because we mentioned before this is the most notes I've ever had for a movie. So we need to get back on topic.
Yeah. I mean, we'll breeze through some of it because not all it's
a lot of it's just kind of nothingness. But yeah, so after she gets the Stephen King pen, they get out and we're at the docks and we meet her biology teacher at the school, as well as the lead chaperone, as well as her uncle, who is also her legal guardian, because he just needs 7 different titles. His
A
name
lot
is
of hats.
Charles.
Yeah.
He has a last name. I never wrote it down. He's actually referred to as Mr. Whatever. Way
I
more.
think he's referred to as Mr. Charles.
No, he's Mr. Calhoun or something like that.
Oh, Mr. McCullough.
McCullough, yeah.
Yes.
But see, I
That's
wrote
it,
down
yeah.
Charles the whole time because that was the name I remembered. So
Uncle
from
Charles,
this
Mr.
point forward,
McCullough.
I will either refer to him as Uncle Charles or just Charles. But that'll be what he's referred to in my notes. So,
Unky C.
good old Uncle
Here
Charles.
we go.
We find out he's really not happy that she's here. We don't know why yet, though. We don't know why he doesn't want her here, but we'll find out later. And it's not worth it.
No, not really.
Nope. All right. And we also find out this is kind of a graduation trip cruise on this boat for all the graduating class of the whatever year from
who cares?
from Crystal Lake High School. They're all a bunch of graduating seniors here. Now we meet the admiral and the skipper who never get names. And in walks the admiral's son, Sean, and his friend, who never gets a name.
Yeah.
Which we normally always talk about, this franchise, it takes forever to get people's names. But normally, you eventually get it. This movie, not so much.
No.
I believe we don't even see his friend's death,
Yes,
right?
we do see his friend's death. There are a lot of deaths we don't see, but his friend's is one of them. There are a lot of other unnamed extras who are in a lot of scenes.
Get blown up. Yeah.
They drowned. We'll get to that.
Yeah.
Because this movie, yeah.
It's unclear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of things happen.
Now we have, so we find out about Sean's dad, the admiral, really wants him to be in charge of the boat. But Sean just doesn't really understand it or care. He does it wrong. That makes the admiral mad. Sean storms off after getting a
sextant.
A sextant, yes, and a electronic sextant, I guess. I don't know. And neither of them really matter again, except for one scene where the electronic one comes back to matter for 2 seconds. This scene feels important. It's not.
Hey, that's a really good point. Mm-hmm. I didn't notice that when I watched. I mean, obviously, when I first see these two objects, but the pen and the navigating tools, I was thinking okay,
yeah,
this has got to be real important. And then later on when they're in the boat on the open sea, okay, the mechanical one's gonna crap out and he's gonna use the old.
Have to use the old-fashioned one.
No, he just uses the mechanical
and then
one,
he does
and it's kind of a throwaway scene.
Yeah,
they literally couldn't have not been in the movie. Just like the explanation scene for this, just like the explanation for the pen. But whatever.
Yeah.
Here we are. This movie likes to give importance to things that don't matter and then not really give as much time as probably should to more important things. Like, I don't know, being in New York.
Per the title.
Yeah.
He takes Manhattan.
Yeah.
Boat to get to New York City.
He takes a boat
to
Manhattan.
Yeah. That's what the title should have been, but it was not. Now we have I wrote down a grad cruise musical number because we just kind of have a little fun music playing and a bunch of shots of a bunch of the the high school graduates on the boat for a little while before Sean comes up to talk to Rennie. Apparently they know each other from school. It seems like maybe they're already in a relationship. Maybe. Once again, they don't do a good job explaining it. But they definitely seem to be in a relationship due to the way they act later. But at the same point, though,
Sean does get him get Rennie a gold Statue of Liberty necklace.
Yeah. But the reason I said it doesn't really feel like they're fully in a relationship is because every other movie also ends up trying to shoehorn romantic, chemistry between two characters you just meet. So this could have been that, other than this random necklace he gives her, which kind of, once again, feels important, but really isn't. Because that's this movie.
Well, they're going to Manhattan.
Yeah, they're going to Manhattan. And that little Statue of Liberty is the most New York thing in the first hour of this movie. Well, except for the opening title screen, which is all in New York. But all right, so now we cut to Uncle Chris showing up. Uncle Charles. Uncle Charles tells Rennie that he's concerned about her, and he tells Sean to leave because he doesn't like Sean, and he tells her he's concerned about her, and it's the closest thing to a heartwarming moment with him, but it's still it's one of those moments that makes this character, Uncle Charles, actually relatively well done. He's kind of the archetype of a villain, of the villainous, authority figure, but he does genuinely care about Rennie, which is different than compared to like last movie's Doctor whatever.
Doctor Who cares?
Cruz?
Good compare. Yeah, Cruz.
Dr. Cruz, who in the last movie didn't care about her at all and was just kind of generic, weaselly...
mean authority figure guy.
Evil authority. And so I will give this movie credit that Charles is a much better authority figure because at least he has ties to one of the characters. Then we cut to a music video being shot by Wayne of JJ, the coolest character in this movie. So that means she'll be in the movie for about 30 more seconds. Yeah. Because she's kind of cool and you kind of want to get to know her character more. So you don't, and she dies like the next scene.
Yeah, in the next scene, she's playing her guitar, and then she stops playing her guitar to go play her guitar underneath the boat.
Hold up 1 second. We will get to that. There is still a little bit more in this scene before we go to that. She's about to die. Give her 30 seconds where she tries to, kind of, tell Wayne, hey, you should, I don't know. She might have been coming on to Wayne. I'm not sure. But Wayne doesn't care. Yeah. He just wants Tamara. He wants to go shoot a video for her. And rather than she's like, you really should stop dealing with Tamara. Like, you can get someone better than her. She's just, a vain piece of crap. You. Yeah, she's using you. She's vain. And he's like, yeah, but she's hot. So he leaves JJ. And now we cut to her randomly in the bowels
playing guitar under the boat. Yes.
No, what's in the boat? It's like in the bowels of the boat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
In the depths of the boat.
And she's rocking out, playing her cool guitar. And but then Jason teleports to kill her because he's like behind her and then he's in front of her and he chases this is the first time, not the first time he's teleported, but boy does this movie go. It's a Friday the 13th movie. Who cares about the logic?
That's just his power.
Yeah. Who cares about the logic of how he does things? He just does them. To be fair, hearing from the director, I don't know if it was even intentional. Not to be fair, but I don't know if it was an intentional teleportation. It was just, we don't care. It's Friday the 13th. Just let Jason do things. And you know what? Honestly, that's not one of my complaints about this movie. I don't care. Let him teleport. It's fine. They established it in 4. He can teleport. He got up to that window without being able to. It's fine.
Yeah. Although in this movie, it kind of just seems like wherever he looks, he is going to teleport to immediately.
Here's the thing. They established the concept, and then in this movie, it feels like they kind of just jump to that being all he does, which is a little
stretch
much.
It so much.
Yeah, it's a little much, but for me at least, it's not really a complaint. I have complaints about this movie. Like, as rereading these notes, the importance they put on things that literally end up not mattering at all. That's annoying. I don't care that Jason teleports. He's Jason. This is Friday the 13th. I don't care. Let Jason teleport. Who cares? Like, that's silly. Who cares? But he does. He teleports. He kills her. He kills her with her own axe, meaning guitar. He smashes her head off screen, but in a way that, like, this movie is the first is like in a lot of movies, obviously maybe, or they knew going in that they weren't going to be able to get away with some of the kills they used to have. So they kind of do a lot of kills off screen, but this movie I feel like does, or with no blood due to like the kind of kill it is. But I feel like this movie did it better than other movies. Like there'd be
the last one, I think. Yeah.
There'd be a lot of like creative shots about like how they did it, and like a little bit of blood to be like, oh, see, the blood happened just slightly off screen, but not fully off screen, or not as bloodless as 2. I remember 2 being really lackluster kills, and like this movie, like the kills weren't the best by any means, but they also didn't feel as lackluster as some of the other movies.
They were middling kills.
Yeah, they were middling, and they were like creatively shot to try to hide the fact that they were bad kills, to level them up to middling. Like, if you actually really think about each kill, they're probably not even middling. But the director or cinematographer was smart enough to frame them in ways that made you not realize it. Which
made them a little bit more interesting to see.
Yeah. Then we have Rennie talking to her dog, Toby. Just a random scene of her talking to her dog, not to establish the dog was there, because we found out the dog was there when they got out of the car earlier. But yeah, she's just talking to the dog. I don't remember what she said. It didn't matter, but she talks to the dog. There's a whole like 20-second scene of her talking to a dog. Then we're back to like a stalking shot of Jason kind of following it, tracking shot, not stalking shot, tracking shot of Jason kind of walking through, and then we cut back to Rennie, and she hears a child's voice saying, "Mommy?" And this is that first moment where, earlier at least, when we had the child shot of Jason, you didn't know if maybe we were just kind of trying to show the audience who maybe is first time looking in that, oh, this was the kid who drowned, This is that point where you realize, oh, no, child Jason is a central part of the plot, kind of, until it doesn't matter and doesn't actually do anything, because But he's central. He's in a lot of it.
Yeah.
But, yeah. Then she gets a vision of child Jason, like, outside the window in water, even though that window I don't think leads to water due to a later shot. So it's just, she sees...
It's a hallucination.
Yeah, it's a hallucination of her seeing kid Jason drowning, calling out for his mom.
In the porthole window.
Yeah. Then we cut to our underground boxing league, is what I wrote here, because we just had like...
Whoa.
Did I miss a scene?
After this hallucination happens, Toby runs out and is lost for the rest of the film until he isn't.
Yeah.
And then we cut to the boxing scene.
Until he isn't, and then is, and then isn't.
Yeah. You get it.
Yeah, no, I remember now. You're right. He does run away here. Then we cut to Underground Boxing League, where Julius knocks out a white guy that we never learn his name. He's other boxer. We also, I don't think, learned pretty much any of the names of the people who were watching this boxing fight, except for above them through the window, we have Tamara and Eva looking down, checking out...
Mr. Oberlin.
Yeah, checking out the sexy, sweaty man boxing. Julius knocks out Guy. And then we have a cut to Wayne interacting with Uncle Charles, kind of telling him, like, hey, Uncle Charles is asking where Rennie is. And Wayne's like, I don't know, maybe she just doesn't care about this stupid event you have planned. And we cut back to Eva and Tamara. I forgot their names because they die so quickly in this movie. They decide they're going to snort some coke. Because, woo, cocaine! There's a lot of cocaine in this movie.
There's a pretty good amount of it, yeah.
Well, not a lot. There's more than in any other movie.
It is the drug of choice in this movie, as opposed to the weed in the previous ones.
Yeah, normally it's weed, but now...
Because, we've normalized the fact that weed is, not that bad.
No, but see, cool kids weren't smoking weed in the 80s. Cool kids, cool rich kids, they were snorting coke. That's the 80s, baby. That's the party drug. Yeah. They're about to snort some coke, but Rennie shows up looking for Toby, and they're like, they don't, like, no, we haven't seen your dog. Do you want to do some coke with us? And she's like, no.
I'm good.
I think she says, like, I don't do cocaine or something, there's some line like that. I'm 99% sure.
Like, it's not my thing or something like that.
Yeah, it's not my thing.
It's not my thing.
I will give this movie credit. I didn't realize it at the time, or even watching the movie, but that actually is kind of foreshadowing.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that's actually foreshadowing. Like, I'll give the movie slight credit right here that I think that line was intentional.
There is a lot of that, like...
Yeah.
There are, like, deserved deaths.
Yeah.
Like, the ways that they die are fitting in a way.
Yes.
So things fit together, it's polished.
Yeah, no.
I know what Isaiah's reference is.
Yeah, no. We will get to that.
I don't.
We'll get to it.
All right, Uncle Charles shows up, and he almost catches Eva and Tamara, who we don't know his name is Tamara, by the way, at this point. We still don't know her name. He refers to her as Miss Mason, and I wrote down Miss Mason here, because at this point, we still don't know she's Tamara, because this movie is so terrible about telling people their names.
We could have assumed she was Tamara based on what Wayne said earlier. But
like
at this
Wayne
point,
and
Wayne and Tamara still haven't interacted
yet. Wayne and JJ's conversation from earlier, I was already like, I think this is probably Tamara, but we don't know that yet. You don't know that for a while.
It's by, like, stereotypes alone.
Yeah. Her being, hot, but, looks like she's probably using people. It's like, okay, she's probably Tamara, unless we're going to meet another girl who's the same style of person, which is possible. But we don't. Now we cut to not Julius boxer, so it's the other boxer, the white guy. He's he's in
the sauna.
He's in the sauna, and Jason comes in, grabs one of the grabs a hot rock and just shoves it into his heart, and it catches fire for scientific reasons that
we'll never understand.
Yeah. I mean,
it is probably the coolest death in the movie.
It was visually cool, but it was
absolutely
not
the coolest death.
What should have happened there. No.
I
could have accepted just, a hot rock going into his chest and a plume of steam coming out.
Well,
but no, it caught fire instead.
Yeah.
There was something flammable inside of his chest.
He drank a lot.
He drank a lot.
Yeah, he drank a lot of alcohol before his boxing fight.
It was a big water balloon
to numb the pain after the fight.
Yeah.
He did take 10 blows straight to the head.
Oh,
dude, yeah.
It's an old boxing secret. Is after a big fight, you douse yourself in vodka before going into the sauna.
Yeah.
So it was actually the vodka on his stomach lighting right before it went into him. You just don't know boxing, Chris.
Oh, you're right. I wasn't aware of the famous Russian boxing tradition.
Yeah. This guy's actually Russian.
That makes sense. He's white.
It's part of the. If you ever read the Friday the 13th novel series, the novelization goes heavily into this scene and the explanation behind it. That's a joke.
Is there actually a novelization?
No, there's not. Well,
okay.
Not that I know of. Not that I know of. There could be, but not that I know of.
Austin just said it with so much certainty.
Dude, yeah.
It's because I'm a good actor, guys. Cast me for the next Friday the 13th film. I could be the next. I'll be the next.
They really could hire anybody off the street, and
I'm not a terrible actor. I could be the next Eddie or Nettie or Teddy or Betty or Bedwetty.
Creddy.
I'm Betty Wetty.
Dude, speaking of those, when are we gonna get to this movie's Ralph? Maybe our worst Ralph.
I think we technically already saw him, but I didn't write him down. Yeah, we do have a.
He's a bad Ralph.
We have the boat hand who shows up a couple times as the crazy Ralph, the forewarner of.
You're all doomed. Yeah. This is a doomed voyage.
I believe he is the first person to say that this must be Jason who's here, kind of a guy, because apparently he knows.
Yeah, I mean, he saw the boat sailing in, and was like, "Yeah, that's Jason."
Yeah, who knows?
Really do much about in fairness to him, though, he doesn't get anything back from the people he forewarns. No. He's like, "You're all doomed." They're like,
"Yeah, whatever."
All right.
Sure we are. Now we cut back to. At this point, I still wrote blonde girl because we still don't know Tamara's name, but she knocks Rennie into the ocean.
Classic prank.
Classic, haha, I'm gonna bump into her. She falls straight into the ocean.
Can't wait to put this on my YouTube channel.
And Kid Jason is trying to pull her down under the water, maybe, or she's hallucinating it just because she doesn't know how to swim. It's never really said if Kid Jason ever exists at all. Even in her childhood memory that comes later. I don't know. This movie does a terrible job of explaining what's going on. But don't worry, Sean jumps in to save her, and obviously, this is the point where Uncle Charles chastises Sean for even being near her. How dare he save his child-like person? What's the word for the guardian he's her guardian. What is she?
His niece?
His legal dependent, or just his niece?
That's fair.
Dependent,
I was looking for the word dependent, but you are right. I could have just went with niece. That is fair.
It would have been the simpler option to go.
You're right. His ward.
Ward.
That's a good one.
His squire.
Yes. Now we cut back to her in the bathroom, and there's blood coming from the sink, and Kid Jason
emerges from a window.
I would say marginally, but for Kid Jason at least, the best depiction of Kid Jason, because they're all different. This one felt like it had the most prosthetics that looked kind of cool, the
marred eye.
Yeah, but they don't. There's no consistency with it for some reason. That's not explained at all. Why there's no consistency.
Because in this scene he has hair still, but also the weird eye.
Yeah, it's really weird. He jumps through the window and starts pulling her through, and eventually pushes her down, and then disappears because he's never real, or was.
Or is he? Ooh.
Now we have Tamara trying to force herself on Uncle Charles, because earlier in the movie Uncle Charles told her that, you know, she needed to make sure she had her biology project done, because that's what you do on senior trips. You do
You
schoolwork.
complete. Yeah.
But she tries to, you know, force herself. She reveals under her robe she has, you know, her stomach labeled stomach. I think her heart was labeled like.
And that's all the organs she has.
Heart and stomach.
And Charles, he puts up a fight.
He just tried to say no. He not. To be fair, he's a big, strong man who eventually pushes her off of him a little bit later, but not that quick enough.
He really
He waits
has
to see how it
He's like,
unfolds.
He lets it happen
maybe.
a little bit longer than Uncle Charles probably should, but.
Yeah.
To give
in
the
this
horrible...
scene, he has like the acting equivalent of like a porno acting. It's like, what? No, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Stop it.
Yeah. But he does eventually actually
terrible.
push her off. He does eventually come to his senses and realize,
Only after
wait
Wayne has finished filming them
Yes.
through the door.
Yes. Wayne was filming them the whole time, and they're going to use this as blackmail, I guess, or not, because it never matters, because there's no actual stakes to this, because all of them die. But, like, and it's never really even explained how she's going to use it to blackmail. What, to just get out of that biology report?
Now I can get an A on that one biology project instead of having to do it.
Because this is their senior trip, like, after graduation. Like, she already graduated.
Yeah.
I think it's ahead of graduate. It's got to be ahead of graduation.
It must
has to
be, I guess. Once again, badly done storytelling in that part. Because, whatever.
End of the year senior trip.
And then at this point, you know, Wayne tries to shoot his shot, tries to, you know, get with Tamara, but she rejects him because, of course, she would. He's kind of a nerd, and she's kind of hot. It's kind of
Although he's like a really good-looking dude.
Yeah, he's
not.
Honest. Yeah, he's got like weird hair though, like awkward.
I mean, he's got longish hair,
but it's like a weird haircut. It is a weird haircut. It's like that like '80s video nerd haircut.
Yeah, I feel like for the '80s, it's not a weird haircut though. Is the thing about it.
Maybe
like nowadays.
She didn't
Look, he buttons his shirt up all the way. That's all you need to know. All right, that's the characterization that explains it all.
He does carry a video camera with him
everywhere he goes. He's kind of a weirdo. He deserves
that.
So
too.
that would probably be, you know, the major deterrent.
Yeah. So she rejects him. He leaves, and she decides to go shower. And I wrote here, Jason gets real meta, and he uses a broken mirror to kill the vain girl. Really on the nose. After breaking through her bathroom door, he smashes her into a mirror. It breaks, kind of doesn't break enough, so he goes over and breaks it more to actually get a piece. Like, which makes me wonder if like that was supposed to break more, and they had to just like film like Kane hitting it to actually get a piece for the shot. Like, it feels like she got thrown into it, and that would have been where it was supposed to break, but nothing actually broke.
This is one of the things that I like about Kane's portrayal of it, is that he's so intent all the time, and he's not just like, we talked before how he's not wooden and stiff and everything, but in this he's like, I don't know, intent I guess is just the best word for it.
I love a lot of Kane. Like, there's also like his breathing, like he does really heavy chest breathing.
Yeah.
And like the little looks he does, I feel like other Jasons have like looked places, but he does it like in almost a comedic way. Like he has great comedic timing as Jason.
There's something about, especially in this movie, that he gives me like a villain, a heel wrestler.
Okay, I can see that.
Like with the sleeves kind of cut off at the forearm, it kind of almost looks like he has tattoos. Where the
I see what you mean. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And he's just got this very menacing walk. Yeah. That's what he gives me in this movie.
I'll be honest.
It's good.
I understand. I think the general consensus is Kane Hodder is the best. Then there's the like Kane Hodder detractors like, oh, he's overrated. I'm definitely part of the camp that's he's cool. I love Kane Hodder so far. We're only 2 movies in, but he's already my favorite Jason. And 2 of my least favorite movies, he has stood out as amazing in them. Which I think is kind of telling about how good he must be that I cared enough to pay attention.
Yeah.
But yeah. Where did I leave off? He kills her with the
Tamara gets murdered.
Yes.
Yeah.
Then he... And, I did write that he kills her off-screen, because, once again... But once again, this is the kind of what we were talking about earlier, though. Yeah, he kills her off-screen, and there's no, like, blood shown or anything. but there's the added moment of him like grabbing the mirror piece and making it that meta killing the Vane girl with the mirror piece that made me okay with the fact that we didn't actually see the death. We got the catharsis of seeing her get her comeuppance with what she should get her comeuppance with.
There was reason to the death.
There was a reason to how she died and why she died. So there's a lot of things I don't like about this movie, but there are a lot of things I do like, things like that. So where were we? Then Jason shows up. He goes up to like the bridge, and before actually going in though, he grabs a boat hook, and he uses that to kill the skipper, and then the admiral realizes this happened, and he gets killed with we wrote what looks like a machete, but smaller. It's some sort of boat knife. I don't remember the name of it. But it's a boat machete, basically. It's a small... It looks like a machete. It's the closest thing to the machete kill we get in this movie. And I think they went with it hoping people would say, oh, that's close enough. Because it's him on a boat. So this is the boat version of it.
It's like a barbecue knife. That's what it looks like.
I can see that, yeah.
Like,
It's supposed to be a boat rigging knife.
There it is.
But it's got like a sheep's foot blade, which, if you're not a knife nerd, that means instead of having the blade curve out this way, it is just like flat, and then the back of the blade comes to meet it up at the top. It is very much like a utility type of knife, unless you're Jason, and then it is a murder type of knife.
Which, to be fair,
slit a man's throat.
To be fair to Jason, and literally any monster who wanted to kill people, pretty much any knife could be a killing knife if you try.
Yeah, I mean that's true.
That's just
absolutely true.
Credit to Jason, but also just literally all knives, unless they're not sharpened, are sharp enough if they're a knife to be able to kill someone. I mean, it's a knife.
Even an unsharpened knife is definitely
if you're strong enough.
Potential murder weapon.
Yeah. I mean, like there's certain knives that couldn't, like a plastic knife. You probably like a plastic like
determination.
This is another stunt for when we do the stunt. We try and kill Chris with a plastic knife.
I don't know if we do that.
To be fair, we're not doing that at all. But I was the one who said you couldn't kill someone with a plastic knife. So I guess you try to kill me with a plastic knife, but also we're not doing it.
No, you try to kill Chris with
Okay, yeah, fine. I'm on board. You know what? 2 against 1. That's what we're doing. Don't worry, Chris. You're not gonna have to worry about it because that'll be after we already throw you from a window, like from whatever movie we decide to do that. I don't remember now. I forgot.
Well, I think it's happening twice. One to see if I survive in the soft mud. After falling half the story
already. That one
already.
you roll out and you get hurt.
And then I get thrown onto dry dirt from a second story, where I definitely at least break my back and am a vegetable for the rest of my life.
But hey, whatever. But that's not actually what we're doing. Where were we? We keep getting really distracted into this one, which is probably the worst one to get distracted on because there's a lot.
Jason kills the
admiral and he kills the skipper. They're both dead.
Machete.
Then Sean and Rennie, they show up and they find the admiral and skipper's bodies. Rennie goes off we find out much later, to go drop the anchors, but she kind of just disappears from the scene for a while. And we have Sean, who gets on the PA system to let everyone know, hey, come to the bridge. Only the guys come to the bridge, by the way.
Yeah.
But on that call, he never says what happened. Yet later, Eva knows what happened, yet never went to the bridge. Just saying, a little flaw there. She knows, when she goes to find Tamara's body later, she goes, "Did you hear the news?" Like she would have heard the news. Just saying, it makes no sense. But all the male students, they show up and they find out about all the deaths. And Sean is also still on the radio. They're now using the radio to try to get a hold of someone, and he gets a hold of the military branch that deals with water, not the Navy, the other one, Coast Guard. Yep, that's the one. He gets a hold of the Coast Guard. He starts to try to tell him, hey, we're having this emergency, but before he can tell him what and where they are, the radio lines have been cut by Jason. Classic Jason.
Classic Jason move. He sees a wire, he grabs it.
Yeah. He's gotta destroy it.
Then the boat hand warns them about Jason, because he's here to do that. That's what he does. He warns people. Mm-hmm. Yep.
He is the crazy Ralph.
Around this point, we find out that Rennie went to drop the anchors because Sean tells Uncle Charles that's where she is. And so Uncle Charles goes and stops her now because he told her that. Told him that. And so yeah, he stops, Rennie. He's like, "What are you doing? We're in the middle of a storm. This is stupid." I'd also argue, you're on a boat with a killer. Why would you ever try to stop yourself from going forward to land, to just leave yourself as a floating murder house for him? I actually agree with Charles. Dropping the anchors was probably the stupidest thing to do at this point.
Charles is right and reasonable a lot of the time. He's just a major douche.
The argument from like Sean's character would have probably been, we want the Coast Guard to know where we are, so we want to stay in one spot. But if you tell them where you're trying to go and where you are right now, they should be able to predict it and get to you where you need to. Just be smart.
I think the other argument is dropping the anchor. Make sure you're stationary so that when you drop the lifeboat, the boat doesn't start sailing off as you try to get into the lifeboat.
And that's fair. Maybe that was the intention here. Once again,
might be the line of thinking.
Tell you why they did things. Because here's the thing: they don't drop the anchor. They later drop the lifeboat and have no problem. So,
especially because they abandoned a bunch of. Yeah.
But yeah, all right. So he warns them about Eva then finds Tamara's dead body before she comes face to face with Jason, and she has a kind of well shot, at least, scene where Jason is chasing her for a while down like a bunch of stairs and a corridor or two before they end up in the little
party room
with like a disco ball that was shown in the party scene from earlier. And now we have probably, I'd say, some of the most egregious, but once again, it's cool and kind of fits the vibe of him. The most teleporty Jason we have, where she'll look one way, he'll be there. She'll look the other way, he'll be there. Like, he definitely teleports all across that room, but not ever to her. She eventually loses him, and then he walks up and kills her. Like, he never actually uses his teleportation to kill.
Or he does teleport.
Or he does. We don't know. He teleports all around, and then he picks her up and chokes her to death. And then
you enjoyed the teleport. You enjoyed the teleport.
I enjoyed in this scene. I think it fits his vibe of looking around at, like, she's like, oh, he's there. Oh, I don't know. I'm fine with it. I don't love it, but I like's probably a little strong of a word. I feel like it fits his character to the point where it's one of the things where I think, like the director and the creators, the intention was, you just won't care. And I don't. I'm like, that's Jason. Yeah, Jason does that. That's fine. I have no problem with it. It fits. It feels like something Jason could do. He's a double reanimated zombie. Do I care if he can teleport? No. It doesn't take me out at all, at least. And I will. This is something I found out about by watching a video that told me about a documentary. This death is actually really cool if you watch it back. Both of you should probably try to watch this death back at some point. When he kills her, he suffocates her and he throws her to the ground, but the way they have to get that shot is she has to just pretend to be dead and fall to the ground. And she's not a stunt woman. And she just has to straight up fall to the floor while not bracing herself at all. And she does a really good job. Like, Kane Hodder, who is a professional stuntman, like, apparently in this documentary gives her a lot of credit. Like, he's like, she just threw herself on fell around the ground, no problem. So, like, credit to her. And it's also another one of those scenes, though, where I think kind of the theme of this movie is they knew they couldn't be as graphic as, say, 5 through before that. Because 6, they went, let's make it silly to get away from some of the graphic. But also, that movie was also really graphic in violence in some ways, but also not in other ways. But 7, they got cut like crazy from the MPAA.
Yeah.
I think this movie, they knew, crap, we can't do anything too crazy with the deaths. So they did death like this, where, yeah, he suffocated her. There's no reason for there to be blood. And it didn't feel out of place that this wasn't a super graphic death, because he choked her to death, and we watched her feet dangle and kick for a little while before they stopped to show that she had got killed. Like, I think this movie, in some areas, like, mostly on the production side of things, deserves some credit. A lot of the acting and story, not so much. But, like, shots and innovative ways of doing, like, the deaths, which I guess would still be, like, kind of like the cinematography side of things more so. I think they did a good job of hiding some of their limitations. The problem was they still had some atrocious story and acting, and yeah. Now we have Julius, Wayne, and the boys, because there's like 4 or 5 other boys who never get names. and they're getting some weapons to hunt down Jason. And at first, this actually has a really funny line in it where Julius says, that someone asks Julius, I think it might be Wayne, asks him,
"What are you taking?"
He's like, "Nothing." Waits for a while, but this gun, and grabs the gun,
a shotgun. I was like, "Oh, okay, good for Julius."
Yeah, all right, good for him. Which, to be fair, it's honestly also once again maybe a little bit of foreshadowing to later, where he does try to take on Jason with nothing. Yeah. So now we cut downstairs with Wayne, who's sounds like he's looking for JJ. He's calling for her, trying to find her. He has a gun that he's never holding properly, and doesn't matter because he drops it at some point and never uses it. But don't worry, he doesn't drop his camera. He holds onto that camera.
He doesn't never use it. He just uses it to kill a completely innocent man.
You are right. He right. Sorry, I'm misremembering the scene. You're right. He some steam hits him. He loses his glasses. Still has the gun. Shoots a figure he sees off in the distance, who actually is just a
nameless handyman.
He's the
attractive handyman from earlier.
He is the hunky handyman that we forgot to mention because he wasn't in my notes. That the Tamara ogles after watching the boxing match. She says a line about how the only senior I would be with is Julius, or like only high schooler I would be with is Julius. And then she looks at him, implying that she would be willing to play harmonica with him because he's not a child. And I guess that's what she's not into high schoolers, even though she's a high schooler.
Apparently she's into older men.
She's into older men, like Uncle Charles. But yeah, so he shoots Hunky Handyman, and then still he sees that he shot Uncle Hunky Handyman.
Through the camera.
With his camera.
He's looking through the camera.
And then he sees some feet walk up. He raises it. It's Jason. Jason hits the camera away from him.
Yeah, he kills the camera.
Yeah, he kills the camera first. Wayne runs away for a little bit before he ends up falling by JJ's body. Discovers that his friend, I guess, kind of established that they're friends, and that half a scene JJ gets to be in. Yeah, and he then gets killed by Jason throwing him onto some random equipment control panel that starts sparking like crazy and causing a huge fire.
Right on his crotch.
Yeah, huge electrical fire. That's
directly on his crotch.
Starts in his crotch and spreads to all of him, and eventually starts spreading towards the fuel.
Fuel tank, yeah.
Yeah, fuel tank. And we have a shot of Jason looking at it. He looks over at the fire alarm, kind of looks back at the fire, and then decides to warn everyone about the fire by hitting the fire alarm.
Well, he's a murderer, but he's safe.
Yeah. He's like, I want to kill them. I didn't want this fire to kill them. That's my job.
We gotta make sure they don't come down here. They could get hurt by not me.
They could get hurt. Oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Then we cut back to Uncle Charles, who doesn't believe the fire alarm. He's like, hey, this is probably just, the deckhand who's trying to make us think it's Jason, trying to make us think there's an emergency. He wants us to freak out. There's no reason to freak out. Kind of another bit of, somewhat, if you don't believe it's Jason, some logical explanation, be like, oh, this is probably just that guy who's trying to make us believe something crazy is happening.
I think the whole thing behind Uncle Charles is that he thinks it's the deckhand who's killing everyone.
Yeah, so he's like, we don't need to freak out because it's what he wants us to do. He wants us to be in an uproar. So we need to stay calm. Then we cut to some of the people. I think Sean's friend is with someone. I could be wrong. He might just be by himself. He's getting chased by a teleporting Jason. He ends up going up the mast of a. First, he drops his axe. So that axe can be used later. He drops it right in front of Julius, but don't worry, it's not used in Julius.
Yeah, what happened? It's not dropped. He swings at Jason with it,
you're right.
And Jason chucks it into the air, and it lands in front of Julius.
It lands in front of Julius. You think that's foreshadowing for Julius, but no, that axe is important later. But kind of whatever. Yeah, that's this movie. It's like, oh, it's important. Oh, no, it's not. Okay, a lot of foreshadowing, a lot of look at this, see this. This is gonna be important until it is, but isn't.
It is barely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so friend gets chased up a mast, and then Jason looks at him up on the mast, and then is immediately behind him on the ladder of the mast, and chucks him down onto some like, satellite antennas or something.
It's like a really spiky part of a satellite. Yeah, and then Julius finds him and it starts fighting him for a little bit, and he's thrown overboard.
Mm-hmm.
To never be seen again, except for the fact that we didn't see a death.
For a few minutes.
Yeah, except for we didn't see a death, which normally implies that a character could still be alive. Until later, where 10 characters are just killed off screen, presumably.
Dude, yeah.
Literally, like, two scenes later, we have, like, 7 guys who just die.
And there's,
guys
like...
and girls. Yeah, just some randos who never got names. But we'll get to that in a second. First, we have to go to... Down in her cabin, Rennie is in her room again, and she sees a vision of slimy kid Jason. Because now he's slimy. Like green slime.
Yeah, he's like a slug. Yeah.
Because once again, every time you see him, he has to be completely different.
Yeah.
Unclear. He's just worse and worse every time.
Kind of. He was definitely worse, I feel like, in the mirror scene than this scene.
I feel like the worst kid Jason we see
is hair in that scene. This scene, he doesn't have any hair.
He had more of a deformed face in that scene.
And that might have just been because they tried to put hair on him, to be honest.
Maybe.
And now he's got a bald cap to, like, blend the deformities together.
Maybe that's the thing. He's slimy now, though. That was the real takeaway. He's got slime on him.
He's the slime man.
And while that's happening, Jason comes through the window and starts choking her. But then that really important Stephen King pen is sitting on her table. So she grabs that old, ink pen and shoves it in his eye, and he lets go and backs off. See? It was really important. It saved her life. Way before the climax. Like, it's not like it actually, really whatever.
Yeah, we're still on the boat. We're not even in Manhattan yet.
Yeah.
Crazy. Remember how he takes Manhattan? Ooh. Not doing it yet.
Then the power room explodes, and it starts letting water in because it must have caused a hole in the bottom of the boat, and a bunch of water starts coming in around this point at the bottom, kind of like Titanic-esque, rising from the bottom as it would in this scenario. Charles is in the kitchen, and there's a shot of a kitchen knife as he walks past it. Then we get another shot of it, and it's gone. So we're like, oh no, Jason's about to kill him with that kitchen knife. But no, it's the,
Crazy
deckhand who runs past him with the knife, kind of shoving him.
Brandishes it at him?
Yeah.
And then just runs away.
Yeah. Then we have Sean and Rennie, who are in the watery bottom of the boat. Just because, I guess. I don't know, maybe they were looking for something. I don't even remember. They're just kind of there. They open a door. Or, no, they don't. But the door busts open and more water starts pouring in. So they run away and they escape. So, I guess this scene is literally just there to let you know that the boat is slowly sinking.
Another danger to be aware of. Yeah.
So they escape. And then a little while before, I didn't write it down because it didn't matter to me at the time, but I'm looking back, it kind of does. The teacher takes all of the other unnamed characters and leaves them in the restaurant.
The disco death room.
It's the disco room, but they call it the restaurant later. The only time it's mentioned by an area name, which is, it's the disco room where Eva died. She leaves them there. She goes upstairs, presumably because she's still alive later, and we find out at this point that she's like, oh, all the other people in the restaurant, and Sean goes, there is no restaurant. So remember how I just said deaths have to be on screen? Now they don't. Now 7 characters died from drowning?
Or the fire?
Or who knows? Or he saw Jason down there, I guess. It doesn't matter because they're dead, I guess. Because they're never seen again.
There is not the slightest explanation. Or
nope.
Not even like a big broad shot of an explosion. Or
just a throwaway line of him going, well, now they're dead.
And they just believe him. Like, all right, that's...
Yep. And then the boat hand, he stumbles in, kind of acting kind of weird. and he falls down. We find out he has an axe in his back. Hey, that's the axe from earlier. See, it is important, I guess. So now Sean, Rennie, Charles, and Toby, who's back now, as well as Connie, I think is the teacher's name. They get into the lifeboat, and then Julius jumps out from the water in a scene that kind of makes you think it might somehow be a teleported Jason, but it's not. It's just Julius. He's okay. He's safe. He gets in the boat, and they start going off. They leave Jason on the boat, but then Jason isn't on the boat after they look back up. Where is he? Who knows? So now the survivors have a scene where they kind of talk in the boat. This is that another moment where we talk about how we thought there was going to be an importance. This is the scene where Charles asks Sean, "Oh, where are we going? Or do you know where we are?" And he then also says that he's the son of an admiral. He should know how to use that thing. Because, if you're the son of someone, you should know how to do something, apparently.
Yeah, everybody knows that, like, the daughter or son of an astronaut is automatically an astronaut by proxy.
Yeah.
Hey, Chris, you and me, I don't believe Isaiah is, but you and me, we're both, sons of people in the military. You could have done your dad's job, right?
Oh, yeah.
Just because you're his son.
Be an OR technician.
Yeah, and I could have, or actually I probably could have learned to order medical supplies, but I would still have to learn because I don't know, because my dad never taught me how to order medical supplies, because it's not something dads do. They don't just teach their kid exactly how to do their job.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah. But this is that point, though, where he does pull out the, I guess, mechanical sextant and uses it, and I guess it's good, because now we cut away, and they're at New York, baby. Hour and 10 minutes into this hour and 40-minute movie, and we're in New York. Well, actually, most of the shots in this scene, except for like 2, the rest of this are still actually not in New York. They're shot in Vancouver, in just generic city area. But hey,
really,
yeah, most of this movie's still not shot in New York. And
most of this movie is not New York at all.
Yeah, but to be fair, for the movie at least, for Jason Takes Manhattan, even if it's shot in Vancouver, the story at this point is in New York for the last 30 minutes, less than a third.
Yeah.
So they show up, and Jason gets out of the water after they do. Not like you don't see him, but like they get up and they get onto like the dock, and Jason, he gets out of the water. And this is actually another one where they actually the director talked about how they actually shot a bunch of different concepts and just didn't really like any of them, so they just went, don't include any of the ways how he got there. He just did. Leave it to them. We don't care. Like, and you know what? Fine. I didn't once go there and be like, what? How did he get there? I was like, I guess he swam, or he teleported, or he walked.
Or he held onto the boat.
Yeah, or he held it. Like, there's a lot of ways, like, and I think that's a fair thing. They didn't need to blatantly tell us how he got from the boat to there, because I didn't care. It didn't matter.
That's fair.
Jason's in New York now. Cool. That's the movie. And then Jason, he looks up at this is really one of my favorite scenes, actually, which is kind of sad because it's a throwaway little joke scene. Jason looks up at a sign for a hockey league with a giant hockey mask on it. He looks at it, looks at the camera, they cut away, acknowledging that he knows he's in a hockey mask. And it's like, all right, that's stupid.
Maybe he doesn't know what hockey is.
Yeah, he doesn't know what hockey is, but he's like,
yeah.
Me.
Me.
It was all he almost had a full breakdown like he did in episode 4 where he thought it was him, but then he's like, wait, no, that's a hockey mask. This is like the third one I've had. It's not me. So now the survivors, they're in New York. They're in an alleyway, and they're jumped by some New York gangsters who, kind of pointing out the fact that this is definitely a movie from the 80s. They're not white guys. They're some of the only minorities in the movie, because minorities are bad, I guess, according to the 80s. And they proceed to be the darkest characters we've had in a Friday the 13th movie yet. Because they, after trying to steal some of their stuff, they decide to steal Rennie. And presumably seem to want to do something to her that we can't even talk about. One, because our channel we try to keep PG. We talk about harmonic playing all the time and stuff like that. But also, if we tried to kind of explain what's happening here, YouTube would come down on us for even talking about it. Mm-hmm. Think about the situation. These are bad people taking a young girl away from the group of people she's in. You can figure out what they're about to try to do.
They give her some coke.
Yeah, they give her some cocaine first before proceeding to maybe do something, but they never have a chance to do anything bad. Well, besides shoot her up unwillingly with cocaine. But
yeah, they do pretty successfully.
They do some stuff that are really bad, but they don't go to the completion of what they wanted to do. And because they are stopped by Jason. Jason is the hero. He
saves the day.
Story.
Yeah.
Sort of. Yeah.
Yeah. Jason is the hero. That's what I'm saying. Nope.
Well, Jason, is a murderer, but he's not the other thing.
No. Yeah, he is not a bad. Well, except for in part 3, 4. Except for the one where it's kind of implied that he was gonna do that with the girl who he chased. I don't remember her name. The girl who size 80,000 times.
Knocked out by him and lives?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That scene felt like they might have been hinting at that, but they never fully go there at all, and she just gets away somehow. You remember the girl who sized, I think, literally 24 times in the scene?
Yeah, the main girl.
Yeah, is she the main girl? I don't remember which movie that was. Was that 3? That's 3, right? I think that's 3.
Who cares? Anyway.
But yeah, so
Jason kills a guy with a needle.
He takes the needle and he stabs the first gangster. Then the other gangster shows up and is like, "Whoa, what the crap is happening? This isn't cool. What are you doing?" And he shoots him like 6 times. Which, to be fair, I think it was only 6. Chris pointed out, like, "Oh, he shot him so many times with his, 6-shot revolver."
It was more than 6 because it was just like, ba ba ba.
But I think it actually was only 6. Like the exact amount he should have been able to shoot him. Obviously, Jason is completely not affected by this because that's been proven
just a gun.
In the past. Guns do nothing to him. So Jason walks over to him and just kind of pushes him, and he bonks his head into a pipe and dies. Or is knocked unconscious and left because Jason realizes he doesn't care. I don't know. Which, to be fair, this is a movie where I guess they kind of show that Jason, for some reason specifically this time around, wants to kill specific people slightly. I mean, like in the sense of like, once he started a mission of killing people, he'll kill indiscriminately until he starts a mission. Then he has to kill those people at all costs. Yeah. Because that's going to get revealed a little bit later where he walks past hundreds of people not caring.
Yes. Yeah.
And
he really doesn't take Manhattan in any way, shape, or form. He kind of just goes through Manhattan.
Yeah. Chasing literally people still from Crystal Lake? Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
He kills these 2 gangsters.
Yeah. Well, he kills one.
He kills one of these gangsters.
Maybe, yeah.
And he bonks the other one in the head.
He bonks him.
All right, so now she runs away, and well, she doesn't. He walks. I don't remember. The scene ends, and we cut to Julius.
Yeah, she gets up and she's all like, still high on coke, and stumbles away. And then Jason realizes that she's getting away and chases after her.
But he doesn't actually find her next. He finds Julius at a payphone, and he gets chased to the roof of a building, and Jason's chasing him up there, and Julius tries to box him for a while, like in a very a scene that is better than it should be. Like, because every moment where you're like, okay, this is going to be where it ends, it goes on for a little bit further. And it gets funnier and funnier the longer he just boxes him and slowly tires out before... Julius tires out. Well, Jason just doesn't care. Shrugs him off, basically. Before eventually, super tired, bloody Knuckles goes, "All right, hit me with your best shot." So Jason punches his head right off, and it
goes off his shoulder.
Yeah, right off the building, right into a dumpster that closes on top of the head.
Dude, comedically,
it's amazing. This scene is honestly, this scene alone. I think if you were, and understandably so from what we've been talking about here, this scene alone is why I would definitely say this is a must-watch movie. You need to watch just so you can get to this scene. But
if
honestly,
you had reservations before,
if you've had reservations up to this point, this scene is worth it. But yeah, so now we cut back to Rennie, who is high off her kite, walking all around, just looking all dazed and confused. Not the other. Well, that's a different movie. But she's really high. She's vision's all blurry. But hey, Sean's here, and she stumbles into him, and then they walk off and they reunite with Charles. And at this point, we finally find out her name, Miss Van Dusen.
Hey.
I don't think we ever actually find out her name is Connie, unless I completely missed it. But apparently her name might be Connie. Probably one of those things where it's in the credits, it's Connie Van Dusen, and you just have to know that. But yeah, so they reunite with them. Uncle Charles, he still does not believe her after everything they've been through. After the fact that they found the dead boat hand.
Yeah.
The deckhand, who it has to be him. He's found dead with an axe in his back. He still doesn't believe that Jason could be here.
Oh, man. I totally forgot. Yeah. Also, he saw him in the lifeboat, standing down from the top of the boat. Also forgot to mention that Toby appears in the boat after being lost.
We mentioned that.
Is just in the boat.
I mentioned that.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Ah, my short-term memories.
No, I definitely mentioned that. But at some point, I think already, like the first sign of anything spooky in New York, he ran off again. He's not with them right now. Yeah. Toby's off doing his Toby things. Mm-hmm. He's off doing his own movie.
He's
Toby's
smart.
taking Manhattan.
Avoid danger, Toby.
Where were we? They reunite with Uncle Charles. He still doesn't believe her. And then there's also a cop who shows up with them as well, because they had called the cops to, I guess, try to stop the, gangsters from attacking his, niece. He went to go find cops, and he found a cop who is going into his cop car. He's getting all of them in first, but before the cop can get in, he gets pulled away from Jason and killed off screen. Mm-hmm. And then Jason teleports in front of them. Straight up, this is, I feel like maybe the most blatant, no, there's a more blatant teleport we will get to. But this is one of the most blatant, he is behind them, and then 30 feet in front of them in one shot.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
I mean, I don't mind it. But yeah, he's up there now, and so Rennie, she's like, all right, no, I gotta deal with this. So she gets into the front of the cop car, and she runs him down, knocking him over. And then, though,
little boy Jason.
She sees child Jason. Dang, visions of child Jason floating through her head. It's like, sugar plums on Christmas. It's there. She's like, I gotta kill Kid Jason. She goes through it, but Kid Jason's not real, so she goes right into a median, she goes in, she gets hit, the car explodes. Somehow, everyone but Miss Van Dusen gets out safely.
Mm-hmm. She blows up.
She's in there.
Pulls each other out of the car, and we just forget that Miss Van Dusen was in the car with them. Mm-hmm. And she is the only one who blows up in the vehicle.
Yeah.
An unceremonious death.
And at this point, Rennie, she stares at a flaming puddle, which reminds her of a lake, because puddles have water, and it reminds her of her childhood, where she has this is where we have a flashback. We find out the whole, I guess, reason she's having all
afraid of water. Yeah,
the reason she's having all these shots of Jason specifically too is because when she was a little girl, she didn't know how to swim. She was out on Camp Lake Voorhees, not Lake Voorhees, Camp Crystal Lake. Crystal Lake. She's out on Crystal Lake, and her uncle, who I guess already is her legal guardian at this point, is telling her hey, you gotta learn to swim. You don't want to be like that Voorhees kid. He didn't know how to swim, and now he's dead. He's probably under the lake right now. Lake. She's like, what are you talking? So he pushes her off, and she even tells her, if you don't learn how to swim, he'll pull you under. So he throws her into the water to, I guess, force her to learn to swim, which, to be fair, not typically in a lake with a possible dead child in it, is a way somehow some parents teach kids how to swim is by just throwing them in and they.
It's true.
But not in the middle of the lake.
No,
where you just
no, it's
out
normally
to
in
the
a pool. It's normally in a pool with someone like right next to them
pool.
to save them if they need to.
Yeah.
Uncle Charles has some. He's a good uncle. He's just not at all. Yeah.
Like up to for about the first half of the movie, you think, okay, he's a jerk, but he's a reasonable guy.
Yeah.
And then this
he's
comes
just
along
a
and
very inept legal guardian.
So he throws her in, and little kid Jason starts pulling her under, and then we cut back to real life, or not real life. That was real life. That was a flashback, and she tells him, "Hey, this is your fault. Why did you throw me in there?" And he's like, I was trying to help you. And she's like, yeah, but Jason tried to pull me under. So I'm still not sure if Jason actually pulled her under there, or if she was just a kid drowning and hallucinated it. Because all the other kid Jason is her hallucinating. So I don't know. Because once again, the theme of this, they don't tell you.
Well, on top of that, this is like the worst part of the pattern that you've been pointing out, where they give her, they hinted this backstory where like, okay, her parents are not around. Her uncle's raising her. She doesn't like it. Something happened with her parents. And on top of that, somehow she's familiar with Jason and is afraid of him. As soon as this flashback happened, I thought, all right, we're fixing to see what happened to her parents and why she's afraid of Jason. But no, we get this like tacked on story later, but are like, obviously I told you that my parents died in a car crash.
Oh, yeah.
And like it seems like this would be the perfect opportunity to say like, her dad is out there in the boat, and then Jason yanks him out of the boat like he's done with 3 or 4 characters so far.
I kind of thought that's. I think me and Chris both thought that was what was going to happen, and then like, oh no, it's Uncle Charles. Oh yeah,
we're still we still know our backstory because we never will. We're going to get one line about it.
Yeah.
Instead of it's not going to be an all formative
line.
Oh yeah, she gets pulled under the water by boy Jason probably.
Yeah. But Jason is of course Jason. I wrote this twice. I wrote my note here is Jason. Of course, Jason is still alive. He's still alive. The thought's there. It just was not worded properly. Yeah, he's still alive, and he starts chasing Uncle Charles, and he chases him up a 2-story building. Throws him out of the window. Oh, sorry. He goes into the building. Jason's behind him, teleports into the building, throws him out the window, but then teleports to the ground to basically like see the body, to already be down there, to take him and dump him into the rat water from earlier, which is now green.
So I would like to say this.
Okay.
Being, the I could survive being thrown through a window gang. He gets thrown through like either a second or a third story window
it's a second story.
onto asphalt, and then proceeds to get up immediately. Like,
sure, he actually never. To be fair,
and then like lifts his head up, and I was like,
he only
he'd just be unconscious.
His head. He could have had broken legs, broken arms from the fall. Jason picks him up and puts him in there. He doesn't do a lot of moving. Maybe he wasn't able to get up. We'll never know because Jason drowns him in green rat water from the
rat slime. Woo!
Yeah, rat slime.
The Nickelodeon rat slime.
Now we have the scene where Isaiah was talking about where Rennie just kind of exposition dumps how her parents died in a crash and how everyone she loves dies. And then he takes that as a message to kiss her. It's obviously what she wanted there. To be fair, she does reciprocate, so obviously I guess she did. But that's not how, like we pointed out in the past about other movies, they're not written by like what humans would do. That's not what she wants there. She wants at most like a side hug to be like, it's okay, I'm here for you. Not move in for the kiss, like show
or
her.
just a warm embrace in general.
Sure. Like it's like a warm embrace, like at most. She did not want you to start trying to make out with her after she just told you everyone she loves dies.
Time to play harmonica. There's nothing left for us to do.
Might as well. But now Jason shows up and he chases them into the subway. And
this is where, we get to see all those scenes from the intro shot of cool hair rock 80s music playing.
Well, kind of.
And they start walking back through those scenes.
Yeah, we start running. Go through that one. First one here is the subway. He chases them down. He breaks through the window and then kind of isn't near them for a while. They get into a subway, and I guess maybe he was, following them the whole time. But it doesn't seem like they thought so. Or he teleported. Who knows? It's Jason.
He is now in the subway.
He's in the subway at the door of the same car they are in, of the subway. he goes in, he opens the door, he starts chasing them from subway car to subway car. This is that point where we talk about where he just doesn't care about anyone else. Yeah. Doesn't want to kill all these people.
Neither do any of the people on the subway, which is completely in character for people of New York.
As someone, I don't think I've told this story on any content, but I want to say that is the thing this series, probably for this movie right here, is the most accurate thing in the whole series about New York. I was once, and we went on a trip to New York for Christmas one year, and my parents, they had a huge argument. We were actually... It doesn't matter where we were, but we were standing right outside Trump Tower. We wanted to go. My dad wanted to get ice cream at Trump Tower. My mom was really tired and was like, "We don't need ice cream." Whatever. Fight ensued. They were yelling at each other. I'm crying my eyes out because my parents are having this huge fight, and New Yorkers are just walking past. Not one person stops and asks or seems concerned. They're just like, whatever, it's New York. People yell and scream. What are you gonna... There's a kid bawling his eyes out. They don't know why. They don't know if I know these people. I'm just bawling my eyes out. Nothing. No reaction. Not one good Samaritan being like, "Are you okay, kid?" Nothing. So them watching Jason walk past and not caring is completely accurate to New Yorkers.
Well, as we have learned from random people mugging people on the street in the shots of New York, there is not a single good person that lives in New York. Dude, there is no such thing as a good Samaritan in New York. Just New Yorkers.
But yeah. Then they get to the end of this subway car. They get out, and Sean jumps out of nowhere. I guess he was waiting on the side. He pushes Jason.
Whoa. They pull the emergency brake. And all of the New Yorkers then get upset.
Like, "Hey, what you doing?" They don't care about Jason. Look who is covered in water. Like, he's waterlogged. He probably smells like crap because he's a zombie. Uh-oh. Chris?
Oh, no.
Oh, no. Uh-oh.
He's frozen in joy.
Well, we're going to hope he comes back and just keep going, because we're way too far in to, reshoot this or anything like that. So, yeah, so where were we? So, yeah, they stop it. New Yorkers freak out, and then Sean pushes him onto the electrified rail, and it shoots a bunch of electricity at him.
And the movie ends.
It seems like he's dead, which, honestly... We, as the audience, know there's no way he's dead.
It was kind of feeling like it. Like, the rhythm of the movie, maybe it's just because the movie felt long to me.
Because it was. It was the longest movie we've ever had.
Wait, how long was it in actual screen time?
Hour 40.
Okay. I mean, that's not...
No, but it's 10 minutes longer than...
the longest.
It's 10 minutes longer than the longest before it, I believe. I think the longest was an hour 30. It might have been hour 36, though. Who knows? It doesn't matter. That doesn't. But the point is, it was the longest, and it felt longer because it was just kind of it was boring and on a boat for most of it. But
it was.
And he's back.
So there he is.
It's a little bit of a different angle today.
Yeah, it's all right. We'll rock with it.
My internet died.
Okay. Well, we were just talking about how Jason got electrocuted.
Texas freeze happening right now.
All right. Really? Because I haven't been dealing with that.
No.
All right. Well, Jason, he got electrocuted. They go up into the streets of New York, and they're in Times Square, and they're taking in all the sights, just having this kind of really good moment. And then Sean says it's over. And then it wasn't, because here's Jason, and I wrote here, Jason finally takes Manhattan. The first scene that was actually probably shot in New York. He's here. Jason's in Times Square, which little peek behind the curtain. Why I made you guys watch the trailer. This movie was hyped on he's in New York.
Yes.
There's a lot of other I think this shot of him in Manhattan was played on Arsenio Hall to hype up this movie. One of the pictures leading up to this that was hyping the movie was him slashing through the I Love New York shirt. This movie was hyped as it's Jason in New York City. And now at an hour 30 minutes we finally have him in New York City. So now Sean and Rennie, they notice him and they run away, and Jason starts chasing them, and they run past some punks, and Jason, and he's back. All right. He's back full screen, not on his phone. All right. Jason, but we have no audio from you, Chris.
Oh, God,
okay, we're back. Okay.
There we do.
Okay.
Yeah. All right.
Okay, so Jason kicks the boombox out from the punks, and they're like, "Hey, what the crap, man?" And they pull out some knives on him, and Jason just lifts his head to just them, like he lifts his mask to show his face to them, and they're like, "Hey, whoa, we don't want no problems with you," and run off. In a very comical scene, one of the better scenes in this movie. I think they did a really good job adding some comedic moments that honestly maybe aren't deserved. Like, unlike 6, which we praised for its tone, I feel like this movie's comedic moments maybe aren't as deserved because they didn't earn it through an actually well done story. They're just kind of shoehorned in here, like this, the hockey scene. The boxing scene, I'll say, is kind of deserved because they at least set that up earlier as a thing that could be a thing. But a lot of the comedic scenes are just kind of, I don't know, he sees a hockey mask and he has a funny little shot at the camera, like, all right. And in this scene, it's like, he just kind of does it. Okay. Yeah. He doesn't care about killing these guys who came at him with a knife. Other people who haven't come at him with a knife, like the gangbangers earlier.
Must kill them. Yeah.
The gangbangers, he's like, well, they're trying to kill the girl I want to kill. I'll kill them. Or what, they're trying to hurt the girl I want to kill. I'm gonna... Yeah.
I mean, he did set off that fire alarm off.
Yeah, I'll set off a fire alarm to save... I don't know. This movie seems like it goes all over the place and doesn't know what it is. But then he chases them, and they go down into a sewer. Wait, no, they don't. I jumped ahead. I'm sorry.
First they run all over Manhattan.
Yeah,
through a diner, I think, is the next.
The next place they go is they show up at a diner, the diner from the intro. There's a fun little interaction between her, the waitress. They're like, "Oh, someone's trying to kill us," and she's like, "Who isn't trying to kill someone in New York?" And it's like, okay, sure. And then Jason bursts through the door, and honestly, people are kind of taking a little bit aback, but no one really freaks out. And the big chef comes out like, "I'm gonna beat this guy up," and gets just thrown into the wall.
Sideways, another great Kane scene.
Yeah, it is another reason to praise Kane Hodder for his work, because this is the little things, like the way he bursts through the door as even other stuntmen, I feel like, wouldn't still be able to play a character properly while doing scenes, but he bursts through a door while still feeling like Jason. It's a credit to the man. He chases them now to an alleyway before they run away down to the sewer, and they meet under this nice worker who's like, "What are you doing down here?" And they're like, "Oh, we're trying to get out. Can you help us?" He's like, "Yeah, no, I have to. There's going to be toxic waste in here soon." Yeah. All right. Well, the nice man is not long for this movie because he is almost immediately killed.
I would like to clarify that it is, not toxic waste as in just poo water. It is toxic waste.
Yeah,
burning acid toxic waste.
No, you
apparently floods the sewers of Manhattan at 12 a.m.
Every night. You've never been to New York, have you?
There's a reason why everybody's as mean as they are.
Chris, actually, you're wrong. It actually is just poop. But you see, there's all the different cultures in New York, and when all of those different types of food create all those different types of poops, and they mix together, it turns into toxic waste acid. That's just that's a no.
We were missing this explanation.
Yeah,
from the movie.
It's in the novelization.
Oh, okay, yeah.
All right. Then we have so Jason kills him. Another time moment where I've been praising this kind of thing for a while. It's another kill off screen, but they do it through shadow puppetry basically to make you feel like it's they knew they couldn't do a cool kill, so they didn't. But they did it in a way that was innovative to make you not realize how lame it was.
Yeah. He gets bonked with a wrench.
Yeah.
But you see it through the shadows, but not on screen, and then there's blood splatter on the wall.
There's a little bit of blood splatter. So it's not nearly as graphic as some the peak graphic deaths by any means, but it was done in a way that makes you not really care that it wasn't graphic.
Yeah. It's not as lame and boring as the previous movie.
Yeah.
And then they run through the sewers in a cat and mouse scene.
But before she actually after he kills him, he tries to kill Sean, but she stops him by throwing a bucket of this toxic waste that's just there.
A barrel.
Whatever. It looks like a 10-gallon bucket as well. Like, I don't know, because she's also able to lift it. It doesn't matter what it is exactly. It's a thing of toxic waste.
It's
the same point though. Which also leads to, I know my theory was a joke, but why? This is some sort of waste that they bucket up at times to keep it safe, but then also later it just comes flooding
through the same sewer systems that also has the buckets of it.
Yeah, you understand. Okay, so she throws toxic waste at him. It hurts him. It takes away his mask, and it reveals his acided face.
I think he literally just pulls off his mask.
Yeah, but he pulls off his mask and reveals the damage to his face now, which is the first time we see his face, and it's like a little bit more acidy.
It's a little bit more something.
Yeah,
I don't know
it's not good. Unlike last movie, which we praised the costume design on Jason, this movie overall was pretty bad, and this probably shows it's even worse than we thought. Then
I think there's like a clear color difference around the neck.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you understand.
Yeah,
no, I understand.
It doesn't linger on it like it did in the last movie, where
there's
we can
also
see it, taking the face.
Like his arms are like one color, but then his finger is visible.
Yeah,
in
he's
like
got
a
an
hole in his
exposed
glove.
pinky.
It's like an exposed pinky,
like
and
a normal pinky.
It's Kane Hodder's pinky, obviously. Nothing on it. No makeup. No nothing. It's like throughout the whole movie.
Talking about
the whole movie.
The whole movie.
Okay, I must have missed
his pinky's exposed, and it is just Kane Hodder's pinky.
To be fair,
whereas the previous movie, all of his fingers were like skeletonized partially.
To be fair, I want to say I don't remember if it was the whole movie. I remember it. I think it was the whole movie. I remember specifically the scene that was the most visible was when he was getting on the cruise liner earlier, because that scene is so well lit. You can see how it's just
when his hands are like
yeah. It's just like, oh, that's a pinky. Okay. But yeah, so they start trying to go up this ladder, but they can't really get out of this grate. It won't open, and Jason's right at their foot. But hey, don't worry, because it is time for the toxic waste flood ex machina. It's here, and it kills Jason. Kind of, but not really. Is he dead? No, maybe. Now he's a little boy again, because this movie doesn't give a crap.
The toxic waste just turns him into a perfectly normal human child again.
It melts away all the zombification to just being a little boy.
Not even just the zombification, but the predisposed birth defects that he had on his face.
Well,
he is just a boy again.
Well, no, we don't see his face.
He's like face down.
Well, we don't see his face at all, so we don't know what his face looks like. His head is down, and all we see is his hair. Yes.
Pretty sure.
No.
Well,
it's just his face. He is slumped over. You can't see me, Chris, but I'm showing he's slumped over.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I will this movie is horrible. I will give it credit that I guess it's pre him losing his hair from other parts of the prosthetics, but
yeah, from most of the movies that we've ever seen,
we don't know if his face has any sort of deformation from childbirth or not. It doesn't matter though, because it's stupid and it's undone in the next movie. But we'll take a sec. We're not quite at the next movie yet. We have to first talk about how they go upstairs. They go upstairs. They go up onto the streets. He starts talking about, hey, maybe we should go see the Eiffel Tower. Go see.
A little one.
Go see the Statue of Liberty. All right, let's go. It's gonna be cool. We can finally go. I hear there's a 22 floors, which is a line from earlier, and then we have the shot where we think, oh no, Jason's coming. No, it's Toby. Toby's back.
No, it's the dog.
It's the second reveal of Toby being alive, because it has to happen twice.
Toby's still here.
Earlier it was just
hanging out.
Whatever. This movie. The more I think about this movie, the more I hate it. Now it's time for final thoughts. My final thoughts are, this movie is obviously not good. I do think the good moments, which are few and far between, are good enough that if you want to be a fan of this series, the good moments are worth watching this movie. if you don't care about Friday the 13th, you can skip this movie. This is not one where I'm going, hey, go out of your way to watch this. Like 1, 4, 6 are good, so good. I think everyone should see them if they care about horror movies at all. This one it's rough around the edges, and it's rough in the middle. it's rough most places, but every once in a while you see moments of good. Like we've talked about ad nauseum at this point. Kane Hodder delivers in this movie. I really do respect I don't know who would have been in charge of making it happen the way they did it, but whoever decided and shot the deaths the way they did to hide the flaw of the MPA started cracking down on horror movies, I respect. Like I think they did a really good job taking deaths that would have been so lackluster in like a 2, a 5, a 7. Like there's a lot of movies with some really lackluster kills. This movie had honestly pretty similar kills on the like level of gore, but it doesn't feel like it because they did a really good job hiding it or doing weird new innovative shots to get it. I also, this is the point where I talked about earlier, I want to give the director credit that he wanted to make. So the little story behind this, when he was asked to direct this movie, he said, he asked the producers, like, hey, does Jason have to stay at Crystal Lake? And they're like, well, no, probably, it depends, but no. And he's like, all right, cool, I have 2 ideas for a movie. Jason on a boat, which will be, kind of Alien-esque in the sense of like tight, like really like bump up the horror of the impending person to come to get you, which is not what this movie even on the boat is, but like that kind of a vibe. Like instead of it being an alien on a spaceship, it was gonna be Jason on a boat. Or I have Jason in New York, and they went, that sounds great. And he had some ideas for like they were supposed to have a shot on Brooklyn Bridge, they were supposed to have a boxing fight in Madison Square Garden with Jason, like all these other crazy stuff. And it slowly started being where they're like, this sounds great, we want this. And then they're like, budgetary reasons, they realized, oh, no, you can't do that. You have to cut that scene, and that scene, and that scene. And eventually we just get, actually, you can't have it in New York for most of the movie. So he kind of did like an amalgamation of his 2 ideas, and neither of them were what he, I think, envisioned. So, like, credit to the director, he might have had a better vision. But also, not credit to the director, because there are still some things on here that are inexcusable and were definitely him. So,
yeah,
that's my thoughts, Chris. Before you lose power again, let's get your thoughts.
Well, I just lost internet. I didn't lose power.
Okay.
But I would say, if I had to rank these movies, I would say this is probably like the 2nd or 3rd worst Friday the 13th movie, just like objectively speaking. There is a lot of like over the top elements that it just embraces, like, oh yeah, it's a Friday the 13th movie, sure, Jason teleports and we're just gonna play it up, who cares. And there are a lot of fun moments in it that definitely make it worth watching, but overall pretty absurd, but not absurd enough to make me just love it.
That's fair.
Kind of falls in the mid levels, with just a few sprinkles of really good fun. Also, would just like to say that if what's her name? Rennie's experience with Jason at Crystal Lake is something that actually happened, then that would make Jason also 18. Because they are almost certainly the same age when she gets yanked down to the water.
He's a little bit older, but yeah, he's certainly not like the 30-year-old man that he appears.
Yeah. No,
at the very youngest.
I mean, also, granted that like his body gets preserved by the water or something.
I think it also to give the movie credit with like the most barely. It could be that actually happened, but if it was, that wasn't Jason supposed to be the same age as her. That would have been some weird keeping him under there, because the timeline doesn't add up for that even being possible. Because he died 20 years before the first movie, So even if it was this movie is only 1 year after the last movie, like the first movie, like it all happened within a year, which it because Tommy aged, like it's impossible for that to have been them as the same people. So I don't think that was the intention because there's no way to even make it possible.
That or Jason only ages when he is out of the
Which,
water, and
honestly,
he did all of his aging once he got out of Crystal Lake and started living in the woods.
Kind of adds up to the ending of 1 as well, possibly, with him being a child at the end of it. But that might have been a nightmare, but it might have happened. Who knows? Yeah, also, I want to bring up something that you did complain about, but you forgot about because it was so early on. The music at the beginning of this movie. Chris is talking about he doesn't love the... This movie straight up has it go, Jason. It's straight up, it's not even like sounds that are supposed to be words that are overly done and obviously with a voice. They're straight up the name Jason in the opening kill song.
So stupid.
Dude, yeah.
Woo! Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, Isaiah.
So, Isaiah?
What are your thoughts?
Man,
I love it.
I thought when you mentioned me, I thought you were going to complain about the Def Leppard ripoff that they carried throughout the introduction. But the Jason is much worse. You're right. I had forgotten about that. Mercifully, thank you for reminding me.
You're welcome.
Jason. With the premise of him going to New York, I'm conflicted because as the movies keep going on, I think, all right, they're going to have to stretch farther and farther for people to know about Crystal Lake and have a reason to go there. Because at the beginning of every movie, you've got characters like doubting. They have to make the choice to go there. That's the whole part of the suspense of the story. Is they think, should we go there? Yes, we should. And so, but then, okay, what's going to bring people here next? They're going to make another camp and think it'll be safe the 8th time or whatever. And so I think, how much longer can they stay in Crystal Lake? And then seeing him go to New York helped me appreciate despite all the low budgetude of the first few movies, the mythology that they created with Jason surrounding Crystal Lake. And now it seems like that is just kind of gone. And this movie it's such a sore thumb in this franchise, so far at least, for that reason, because Jason had become, to me, such a mythic, cryptid for this little corner of the country. On that same note, there's a reason why a lot of scary movies take place in secluded areas, which is because the monster immediately feels a lot smaller among skyscrapers and crowds and a subway full of apathetic onlookers, where all of a sudden Jason's just this other guy, and he's not this unstoppable force, from the woods anymore. And I don't know, he's such a fish out of water in this movie. He sees the building, he's just dwarfed by the whole scenery, and it's just not as scary. It's not as scary. There's many people around, Yeah. It's the same psychological principle or whatnot of why you watch scary movies with other people, because now it's a fun experience. When you watch it on your own, now it's a lot scarier. Adding all these people into these crowds and crowds of people in the whole city of New York just saps the fear out of these movies, in my opinion. So y'all covered a lot of stuff that I think I would agree with as well. They've been building up more and more what Jason can do, and that's from the very beginning. We've seen him become more and more of this force of nature. I contend that they stretched it way too far with the teleporting scene under the disco ball, because that is just too much. But that's minor compared to the story itself. So
yeah,
it's fair. Well, that has been our longest episode ever. Us talking about, I think, possibly longer than the movie itself. That's how we felt about this movie. So this has been part 8. Next week we'll be back with Friday the 13th, part 9. Well, no, we won't. Next week we'll be back with Jason Goes to Hell, the final Friday. Except for the fact it's not. It's also the second in the franchise to have the word final in it. But technically, to be fair to this series, it technically doesn't lie. It is the final Friday movie, because the last movie doesn't have the word Friday in it. This franchise is convoluted, and you thought this movie was bad. People don't like this movie. It was the worst, did the worst at the box offices, but the consensus is the next movie is even worse. We'll see you next week, baby. Bye!
Bye-bye.
See you later.